Welcome to episode 5, and I've got something a little special lined up this time. Before I go any further, I want to start this episode with a massive giving ground, good luck, and go forth and smash them. Shout out to all the members of Team England heading to the World Team Challenge this coming weekend. Guys, I hope each and every one of you has a cracking time. Stay safe and bring home the gold. Moving on, just my time to remind everyone to like, subscribe, and crash the comments. The last episode really smashed it. Had great fun doing it, and I'm hoping the growth can continue as we appease the algorithm gods. So, it's time to turn on Van Horstman's Speculum, and voila!
Hey everybody, it's great to see you. It's my absolute pleasure to be introducing a guest tonight who is just an unbelievable stalwart of the fantasy scene over the last decades, let's be honest. It's my great pleasure to introduce Andy P. Sib, the man of many names, which I'm sure we'll get into later. Welcome, Sib. Hello.
Hello. Ooh, I'm on the right-hand side. This is strange.
How does it feel to be on my podcast?
Well, yes, this is...
Am I rich yet? No, it's not about the money, is it?
It's definitely not about the money. So, I've invited you along to be me for the night while we turn the tables. You are the host, and I am the guest.
Yeah, so, I mean, let's just jump right in. Let's not waste too much time. I want to hear all about you.
So, you want to talk about me, do you?
Do.
So you want to find out about me, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do this.
No problem. So, about Andy. I'm in my 50s. I'm currently self-employed. I work as an award-winning wedding DJ. I'm also a karaoke host, professional photographer, and I have a few other sidelines that help me pay the bills. Over the years, I've done more jobs than I can remember, from my time in the army to doing door security in the town. I've been married close to 30 years. I have one son, Jack, who's 30 soon, and has followed in my footsteps as both a gamer and a nerd.
Yeah.
I love a good holiday. I try to enjoy them to the max. Outside of Warhammer, I've got dozens of hobbies. I have a massive love of playing World of Tanks online. I love role-playing games, and since it's quite hard to find a decent group these days to take part in, I like doing the computer ones like Baldur's Gate. But as I say, I'd like to get about, get abroad, have some fun, and live life to the max.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that I think, like, when you asked me to do this, I was absolutely hyped because it's been so important over the years in the Northeast to have someone like yourself with so much energy and so much passion and constantly moving the game on, moving the scene on, asking the questions that tonight we can really sort of chop it up a little bit, break down everything you've done for all of us in the Northeast over the last year. And I don't want to sound too cheesy with that, but it is true. I wouldn't be playing miniature war games in the same way that I do if you weren't around. It's just that simple. You know?
Yeah, I mean, we will probably come back to our meeting story a little bit later. Did both have a love of tanks for a while, and
absolutely,
yeah, as you know, I am a massive tank fan. I love the World of Tanks game that I play quite regularly. I've went round many tank museums. Me and you went to Wicksteed at War, stuff like that. So I do like a good tank, but sadly, that's not what we're here to talk about tonight, is it?
Oh, I mean, maybe we'll have a spin-off podcast one day. My favourite tank.
Yeah, Sib does tanks.
Yeah, because you've got a military background as well. Have you been in any, like, actual, when you've had to drive one for real sort of thing?
I was in the army. I was in the REME as a tank mechanic, but I never ever got to drive one. Sat in them, but yeah, never ever got to drive one.
Never let you have a go. Just let you fix them.
Yeah, I fix that.
Don't let him press that big red button.
Bang!
It's kicking off again. Yeah, and so let's go back to that origin story for you. Like, you've introduced so many people to the game. And I remember people time and time again. How did you get started in this hobby?
Well, this is a long story. It goes over many years. In my early teens, I met a few lads who were a bit different to my normal friend circle. Rather than playing football and physical games and trying to kiss girls on the streets and stuff like that, they were into fighting fantasy books, very early computers and role-playing games. Actual, like, pen and paper role-playing games. Matty and Chris were their names. And one Saturday, we decided to take a trip to visit a Games Workshop store because one of my friends wanted to buy the Middle-earth role-playing game. So we got the metro through, turned up in the town, walked into this shop and dived straight into the role-playing section. It was massive. It was great. Loving it. It was like nothing I'd seen.
So, like the Middle Earth game, was that like the first time that Games Workshop released that?
This will be around about 1984, 85, and it was the Middle-earth role-playing system by Rolemaster that we went to buy. I'd
Oh,
only been 11 or 12 at the time.
yeah, sorry, I was born in 1983, so I hadn't quite picked it up by then.
Yeah, as I say, we're very young. Actually, believe it was one of the first time my mum and dad let us go to the town by myself.
Right. That was a mistake.
But yeah, we arrived there. My friend got the book, but whilst we're wandering around the shop, we're seeing the demo table for Warhammer Fantasy Battle, 2nd edition, I think it was at the time.
Okay.
I had a quick demo game. I played the Orcs, and that's what spurred me on to initially collect Orcs. It was bloody amazing.
Yeah.
We left the shop that day. Me and it was me and Matt, or either me and Chris, shared the rule pack. I bought one box of Monopose Goblins and a box of Ruglud's Armoured Arcs. We rushed home, cleared Matt's table in the kitchen, butchered some of his cornflake box to make more of the cardboard cutouts that you made into the units, because it wasn't all models at that point. You could have slot the bases where you slot the cardboard in.
Yeah. I mean, I remember getting a 40k set with an Orc Dreadnought that was like a cardboard cut out like 10 years after that, easily.
So yeah, we played a few games, we loved it. But sadly, it did fade away over a few weeks because we got really hooked in the Middle-earth role-playing campaign. As time went on, there was computer games, then there was girls, then there was going out drinking. Probably a couple of months that I played 2nd edition, started to collect. Then models just went in a box in the loft, and that was that for the time being. So that was my introduction to it. Fast forward 8 years to the late summer of 1992. My maths is probably a bit wrong there, but I bumped into a friend of mine, Rob Casey. Now, that name will probably make a few people smile, but I'd not seen Rob in quite a few years. He invited me back to his house for a coffee and a catch-up, and after the chat, he told me he had something to show me.
which the rest of the stories about Rob, this could go anywhere.
Yeah.
Absolutely anywhere.
As you can imagine, I was initially quite worried. As I say, people who've met him will know why. I took the bull by the horn, so to speak, went up to his spare room, and lo and behold, there was a fully set up Warhammer table with everything you need to play. 2 armies, dice, tape measures, scenery. The armies were fully painted as well. And I was just like, whoa. I started playing with him using his spare army. He was mad into Orcs and Goblins, which I'd kind of, as I said earlier, started to collect, but I decided to build an Empire army instead. My first army took ages to build, absolutely ages. I wasn't like mad into it at the time. I was just buying a couple of things every now and again. And to be honest, the army was more, now let me remember here, I think it was 3rd edition that I built. And over the years, we met a few other local gamers, Adam Bone, Aaron Scott. I don't know if you ever met Aaron.
I know the name, but never met him.
When we started going to a few local gaming clubs like Harrington Wargamers, there was one in South Shields. They were all mainly historical in nature, and Warhammer was kind of scoffed at them. So there wasn't that many games, but we met a few other people, Ben. And fast forward again, we'd been playing on and off for about 6-ish years with this group that we had. Murphy came along, Big Chris and Ams came along, the lad who I'd started off with. Matty had disappeared by this point. He'd went to university and never came back. I'd started to build my second army, which was Wood Elves. I think it was about 1999. Me and Robert, as I say, we've been playing on and off about 6 years, and I ended up losing my job. Whilst I was looking for a new job, I was looking after my son. I started going up to Rob's every day because he didn't live too far away, and we were just properly repping Warhammer, doing game after game, maybe it's like 2 to 3 games a day.
Original WTC sweat team.
Yeah.
If only there was the opportunity at the time.
And honestly, it put the friendship under a lot of stress because we're butting heads, arguing with rules, pushing for dominance. The amount of times we phoned the Games Workshop trolls or whatever they were called, I still can't remember the name.
I think they were called trolls, yeah.
Yeah, and anyway, eventually, just this one day, we rang them up, and the guy on the phone turned round. They were really the mail order team, but they would happily answer rules questions. And it saved you getting on the bus and going all the way to your local Games Workshop in Newcastle. They actually knew us as regular callers by this point, because we must have been on about 10 times a day to them.
Yeah, it's the joke.
And this guy just turned around and he says, why don't you just buy a ticket to the grand tournament that's coming up and, come and see how good you are. Come and play with the best. And that was it. Like, there's tournaments.
Yeah.
I'm sure I said this in one of the other videos, it just absolutely slapped us in the face that there was a competitive circuit to do this hobby that we'd been doing. So I was like, yeah, in. Now, the tickets weren't cheap. I think back then they were still about £40 for a GT heat. Now, yes, it included your dinner and stuff like that. But by the time you added on hotels, travel and stuff like that, Rob, who I was playing regularly, couldn't afford it. But Boney, Aaron, Murphy and a few others were all well up for the tournament.
Yeah.
And that transpired that we started to play a few of the guys from the Northern Warlords down in Hartlepool. I can't fully remember the names, but I'm sure Ken was one of them. And I think this is where I met Tristan, Darren Burnett and Brendan Spenceley.
Was Jeff started already? And
so Jeff, I think, had already moved to Manchester by this point.
Okay.
And I think he was already down in Manchester with that leg of the Northern Warlords. Obviously, we were playing with them and we were invited, me, Boney, Murphy, Aaron. No, I think Aaron was already a member. He'd actually brought us down to play with them, if I remember rightly. So Aaron had got us in and me, Boney, Murphy joined the Northern Warlords and played with them in our first GT.
Yeah.
I remember finishing 25th in the heat and I think it was over 120 players. So I was pretty chuffed with myself. I qualified for the final that year, and I played it with, if I remember rightly, Vampire Counts. So yeah, that kind of sums up my origin story as it would be.
Yeah, it's amazing how like everything happens so quick these days. Like the young players come in and they buy an army, they paint an army. The modern painting techniques are crazy fast, and they get going and they go to a tournament, and someone within a week says, "Oh, you should join Best Coast Pairings" or whatever. Everything seems to happen so fast. It's crazy to think of an introduction like yours to the game lasting decades, but it did. It's like big phases of your life, isn't it?
Well, it was a lot of years. It was probably
50.
8 years from starting to meeting Casey.
Yeah.
And it was probably another 8 years. So yeah, about 15, 16 years preparing for that first tournament.
Yeah. That's crazy to think about. Like, especially the world has changed so much, but it's just crazy to think about how being dedicated to the game for 15 years before the internet, you don't hear about these things. And if that mail order troll hadn't been the expert salesman that they've been, then you might never have cottoned on, and you might have, taken a different path. It's crazy.
Yeah, crazy to think that just one person suggesting something. I do think we actually would have found tournaments because I'm pretty sure after we mentioned it, Aaron was like, "Oh yeah, we do them," and I was going to kind of see if he's fancied it and stuff like that. So I do think we would have found tournament play, but it might have not been that one, or it might have been. It led on to, I don't know if you remember the Games Workshop gauntlets that they used to run.
I do, yeah. I think that'll definitely come back in. And I was going to say, it's around about now, like you've talked about those first 15, 16 years of being a wargamer and playing games and whatnot, to bring us into like section 3, which is about clubs, teams and affiliations, because this is where the Civ I know and the Civ I love cut his teeth. Like, this is the bit where I know this lore a lot better than that. But that's some of that old stuff was new to me, but this is the bit where it starts to really pick up steam, isn't it? So let's talk a little bit about it then. So you've gone to your first tournament, you've gone with the Northern Warlords. What did that look like? Like, what was the club like? What did you play? Did you meet? Was it just a travel team? Like, let's just talk about it.
So I didn't get a chance to. I met half the team. I'd met the Hartlepool contingent. I didn't really know the guys from the Northwest.
Yeah.
So it was basically we turned up on the morning of the tournament. Everyone got introduced to everybody. The team was massive. I wouldn't lie. I probably couldn't name everybody now, but I think there must have been, in that 120 players, 15 to 20 warlords. Probably more 15, but there was a lot of us. I remember we'd all chipped in and got new T-shirts printed. So it was like not just my first tournament, but I was there representing the club. It was massive buzz. I had no idea how good or bad these guys were.
Yeah.
In fairness, I've kind of maybe jumped a bit. We did all meet in the pub the night before. We went to the PGA hotel in some part of Nottingham and got up to loads of mischief. But there were some people who didn't stay that first night, and we met them on the Saturday morning. So the team kind of swelled after the Friday. And I actually ended up playing 2 warlords during that first tournament. I played Andy Smith and Andy Potter.
Right.
And probably, if not for the charity of Andy Potter, I think he went easy on us in the last turn, allowing us to get a draw. And I think that's kind of like what shot us up a bit.
I think that's always been an interesting thing though in the world of games and whatnot. Like in Magic, it's completely normal to intentional draw in the last round to get into the top 8 or whatever, and it's normal. Still, some people don't like it, but I think in wargaming, it's always been like put your dice down as hard as you can and let's have a game and shake hands at the end. And
Yeah,
a few more people frown upon it, but I don't think that's like match fixing or anything. I think when you've got a rookie in his first tournament and you
yeah.
welcome him to the team, you can just go, okay, that was a good game. Let's call it there. It's really interesting what people think about that. But
It certainly wasn't a handshake across the table. It certainly wasn't Andy going, "Oh, there you go." Like that's that. I just think he could have maybe done a few charges and just thought, you know what, I'm safe,
yeah,
Sib's safe. Let's not risk it.
yeah, yeah, that's fair. That's fair. He calls off the dogs instead of risking it all. Yeah,
Yeah,
that makes sense. And I think as well, like it's one of the best things about this is, and I've had loads of different hobbies myself and whatnot, but the clarity that you can remember that game. Like think of all the things you've learned. Think about all the
oh
things
yeah.
you've forgotten. Like it's a lot. Like some of the stuff I can't remember is unbelievable. But the fact that you've got that vivid memory of that last game of the
Oh,
tournament,
it's bizarre that
it's
like
amazing.
my memory of tournaments is better than my memory of like anniversaries and holidays and like family events and stuff like that. I've got no idea. I mean, my memory is so terrible,
Yeah.
but I can remember very specific points about tournaments that happened 20, 25 years ago.
Yeah, you could draw the terrain layout of your top 5 games, no problem. Maybe your top 20. You think
Yeah.
about it, like, oh, I remember there was a woods here and a building here, and it's crazy.
So yeah, I started with the Northern Warlords, and I believe I played with them for about 5 years.
Yeah,
Certainly played through 5 club challenges. Might have been 6 years, and loved most of it. They really got me introduced to a lot of people in gaming.
mhm,
Really got my eyes opened. I've done some of my best performances as a warlord in the early years.
yeah,
But towards the end, though, the Warlords were getting a bit of bad rap. Certain other clubs were calling us like not a real club. There was a few things that went on behind the scenes that just left a bad taste. And I had a bunch of people in the Northeast, you were one of them, who were all chomping at the bit to start up a real Northeast club, a club that had a place, a home in the Northeast.
mhm,
And it was just a car ride home. And I believe it was, I know Tristan was there. I don't know if you were there or anybody else, but we just got on talking about how we could do things better, not perform better, but be better, be an actual club with all of the things that we'd seen in the Terra Nova Griffins, in the Dragon Slayers, in the Gimps, in Tanlawn, all the other clubs that basically were real clubs. We just wanted a bit of that and to show how good the Northeast players were.
yeah. I mean, like I know I was coming into the scene at that time, and like I never got to actually play for the Warlords. I know loads of them, friends with loads of them, and whatnot, and very fond memories of games with and against them and whatnot. But I never got to see the best of the Warlords. I never got to be that big elite travel team. And I'd just really finished playing at sport at a decent level. I was still playing a bit, but I just I needed that. I needed the guys. I needed them in a room on a weekly basis. The talking nonsense in the car on the way, the lifts getting dropped here and there, waiting in the cold for someone to drive past and pick you up, and all that stuff that just like being together, like on the tabletop. Northern Warlords, absolutely one of the best teams ever. But I never got to see the inner workings of it, so I can't comment on it. But I knew I
Yeah.
was craving the normal nature of just hanging out every week with a set of dudes that are into the same thing that you're into. You know.
Yeah. So yeah, we created the NWA. It wasn't me that created it. It was a bunch of people. I think there was 5 or 6 of us who all had a fundamental part in pulling it together, in establishing what it was. It was a great club in that we had a chairman, we had a secretary, we had a treasurer, we had a constitution. We brought many players in. We didn't have whereas the Warlords wanted the very best players to come in. We actually really opened the doors with the MWA and tried to be very inclusive and bring in a lot of people. So I think my years as an NWA player were my best gaming years, just because we were going out there and doing what I thought a club did.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Like some of my fondest memories of gaming, full stop. Like the away days, the tournaments, obviously are peak moments, but just turning up every week, like the league we had and playing competitive games that mattered time and time and time again. And I remember one game against Mark where the whole club was watching. It was the final round of the final league week or whatever, and the result mattered for almost everyone. And you're playing like fourth, fifth, sixth turn with 10, 15 dudes watching the game. Like, that's like absolute peak moments that you just never forget. It was a like, to use more modern parlance, it was a vibe. Like, it was cool. It was really, really cool.
We have kind of done a mini reformation of the NWA. There's only about 10 of us
I
who are
bumped into,
still actively playing.
I bumped into Foxy the other day.
Me too. I mean, Andrew Foxy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is going to Bay Games quite a bit.
Well, I bumped into him at Clubhouse, which, venue we've both been at recently. It's fantastic. And so it's just good to see that people who came in young, fresh-faced, 10, 15 years later are still in the scene. Like, it's fantastic.
Yeah, and obviously the NWA led me on to being part of a team, which was the first ETC England team. When I was speaking to AD last week, there was a few England teams that played beforehand, but the ETC came around. I was asked to be part of the team in 2007. Jeff Porritt was organising the team, but he was really struggling to get players signed up, and I believe it was going to be in Germany at that point. And lo and behold, we got a team together, but about a month or two before we're due to go and travel, two of the lads dropped out, and it was just too late to get anybody to find any replacements or anything like that. So Jeff disappeared, and the next year, it was Poland it was going to be running. That's why they came back to me, sorry. It was going to be run in Poland. So the next year, the Polish guys came back to me and, like, obviously probably through my surname or whatever, and asked me if I would set a team up. I was happy to basically try it the year before. I'll give it another try. So I sat down and I thought, right, how do I make a team? The first thing you've got to do is basically give the event some kudos. So we had the Warhammer forum at the time being. I don't know if you remember that.
Big time, yeah. I mean, yeah, it's just a den of trolls mostly, but yeah, it was fantastic.
Yeah, certainly. So I just kind of tried to big up the ETC on there, create a bit of a vibe for it, and slowly but surely, nagging people, I got a team of eight of us together. We paid the money, we had a practice day, and then we went out to Italy and were the first ever English ETC team. We had our T-shirts made, we had our dice made. I'd done an interview on some Italian TV channel that I've never seen.
Molto bene.
Yes, Bella Bella.
Yeah. Class. Absolutely class. And if you think about how far that's come as well, because I'm not sure of the timelines, but I remember, back in the day, Fantasy on 40k being roughly the same size, and these things starting in both and going some years and failing other years. And you think about where it's at now, and you think about the recent success of Team England at the Old World WTC, but the 40k WTC is like massive. 40, 50 nations, 8-man teams, singles tournament before, team tournament. It's crazy, crazy scene. And it's really exciting to remember back to those days when we were like, what is this?
I think...
And it's pretty cool.
In Italy, the ETC did have a 40k leg. There was 40k on the one side of the football hall and the fantasy on the other side. I think the 40k one had two more teams.
Yeah, they were roughly the same size, weren't they? Roughly.
Yeah, it was great bonding. 7 guys who were just gaming friends at the time turned into like real friends.
Yeah.
And it was a cracking time.
I mean, I've always said, like, through sport, through this, through a few other things, there's nothing as humbling and like real as going on the road with people. Just that banal chat over hours of driving somewhere, that's eating in a service station, kipping on the floor in a hotel room because you forgot, all those little things that seem so like miserable but are actually the heart and soul of the experience. Like getting on the road, exposing yourself to these other people, it's class. It's by far and away the best part of the game. It's amazing.
Yeah, and I think it's not an affiliation as such, but one of the things I ended up doing to kind of finance my gameplay is I become somewhat of a commission painter. I'm going to hold my hands up straight away now. I have never been the best painter in the world. I think my stuff is very good tabletop quality.
Yeah.
I can paint an army pretty quick if I need to. But I used painting armies as a way to finance, basically enable myself to play in tournaments. And I think that had the biggest detriment on me long term because it meant I was constantly switching armies
Mhm.
and never stuck with an army long enough to become really, really good with it.
Yeah, I mean, there is that element of it, but I'll put that back on you a little bit and say that if you didn't paint armies at a prolific rate and sell them at a reasonable rate, I wouldn't have been playing the game in the same way. So there was the old Games Workshop one day tournaments. You mentioned before, I can't remember what
The
they
gauntlet.
gauntlets, yeah. And like I had kind of got into it. I kind of wanted to be into it. I thought I was going to make a Bretonian army, and I realized how long it would take to make the models and paint the stuff. I just been on holiday to Malta, and I was like, "Oh my god, the knights! This is class. I want to play Bretonians." And so I looked on the forum, and someone in the northeast was selling an army, and that meant I could go to the gauntlet like really soon. Like I think the Gauntlet was the second or third time I'd played that army, and I bought it, which enabled me to start. And so it's that thing, like that origin story for me is like it's been repeated 20 or 30 times across the like. So yeah, there's maybe you could have been 5-10% better player if you stuck with one faction, but you wouldn't. I don't think you'd be the Civ you are. I think that the spread and the depth and the energy in the scene that you've put
Yeah.
in over and over again has actually propelled certainly the northeast forward. And that's just my opinion and the truth. Well, I think it's the truth.
And I suppose in the long term, I believe it's led to my most unofficial claim as a wargamer. And this is, I believe, and I would be love to be proved right or wrong, that in a Games Workshop GT, people have fielded the most armies that I painted in one GT, and I believe it was either 6 or 7.
That's yeah. I want to see comment below if anyone feels they can beat that, but putting 6 or 7 in one GT
Yeah.
is something special.
And the ones I can name was obviously My Empire,
Yeah.
Murphy and his Corn Chaos,
Yeah.
Boney and his Zinch 21 model Chaos list.
Yeah.
I believe it was yourself,
With your
Vampires.
or no, with the vampires that was
Yeah, somebody borrowed my Wood Elves, and the other two now kind
I
of
mean,
fail me.
yeah, I've played your I mean, I've played 4 Warhammer World GTs for fantasy. I
Yeah,
played 4 WPS ones and stuff, but in my 4 Warhammer World events, I played 3 of your armies and 1 of my own.
yeah,
So I was used to being like, oh, is it the Errantry one? No, is it the Wood Elves that are borrowed? Like, so yeah, it's there's a fair few of us out there that are very thankful that you did chop and change with the armies, and that you said I'm not the best painter, but and you just bang them out. I think it's more than that. They're kind of iconic. Yeah, there's a lot of heavy dry brushing, but it's a Civ army. Like you see it and it looks great. And like your current vampires that you've knocked out in a few weeks, like a few days, really on the table with the glowing graves and stuff. Again, it's just it's a Civ army. Like you can tell it's iconic. Everyone knows what it is. The basing style. So yeah, no, I think you deserve the credit for that. That it's
yeah,
it's more than just tabletop. There's a certain coherence to it that makes it unmistakable who's actually done it.
yeah. And it's obviously how we met originally because
Yeah,
what that army you were talking about earlier that you bought online
yeah,
was actually my Vampire Counts army
yeah. Which is
that I played with in the first GT.
yeah. Went to a random metro station in the northeast and met some fella. Can't remember what your username was, but I was going to meet this fella called Sib at a metro stop. Buy a camera case off him for like a fully painted Games Workshop army in about 2004, 2005 was 150 quid. Can't
Yeah,
beat
I mean,
yeah. So
I think I sold it at a decently low rate because I was just wanting to move on.
and it was a northeast fashion and sort of deal. But
I'm
it's,
pretty sure that we had a conversation about it, and in that conversation, you'd obviously said that you were wanting to get started.
yeah,
And
and
something I've done a couple of times is I've even just done it recently. I've sold people armies cheaper than I normally would have just to get them started on the game, so there's more people to play.
absolutely, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, it is massively appreciated. Like that funny thing about back to that gauntlet that I bought the army for to get playing. Like I didn't know when I got on that bus what the Northern Warlords were, and the army was good. I had a good handle on it. gauntlets weren't the most competitive events. I won my first 2 games easily and was in table 1. Joint most points, played against a chap called Mark, and I get the army out, and he's like, "Where did those banners come from?" And I'm like, "I just bought an army off a guy, and these were the banners." And he was like, "They're Northern Warlord banners." And I was like, "Yeah, okay, cool." And he goes, "But I'm a Northern Warlord." And I'm like, I don't know what to do here. And he launched like 12 Goblin Fanatics at me in a 1,500 point list and cleaned me up. And I was like, "Oh, well, I'm not winning this tournament." And that was like the first I'd really heard about the sort of team based sort of thing. It's class. It's absolutely class.
Yeah, I mean, it was strange, the gauntlets, because I wasn't at that one. I'd won the previous 2.
Why weren't you at that one, Sid?
Well, after winning the previous 2, I'm not going to name names here, but the manager at the Newcastle Games Workshop decided that I was far too cheesy a gamer, and
Go on, just say it.
yeah, basically, I was far too competitive to be playing in events like that. How do I put this? I wasn't playing in the style that they wanted to promote, and they asked me. Well, they just wouldn't sell us a ticket for it.
Class.
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely class. Banned for being too good at Warhammer.
it wasn't being too good. They just felt I was too whack. Now,
Yeah.
honestly, I was back then the type of person who was not win at all costs. I was very, very competitive. I was going to play the best and hardest army I could, and I was going to play it in a way to win.
Mm-hmm.
I still never really lost any points on sportsmanship,
No.
but they just didn't like tournament players full stop in the Games Workshop shops.
We've talked about it off camera, like over the last year or so, and we've both been on a slightly different journey the last year. But I feel there's been a massive shift. So I had 5 to 6, maybe 8 years out of miniature gaming, and obviously kept in touch with people, but wasn't playing on tabletop very much. And came back with the old world came out, and a lot had changed. Like when we used to play in those GTs, there was quite a lot of gotcha moments.
Yeah.
You put an army on the table, and if your opponent didn't know exactly, like precisely what your army did,
Yeah.
you'd just be like,
And it
sucks.
was closed lists back then as well.
Yeah, closed list, hidden list, and you just be like, sucks for you. I'm gonna do this. See you later. That's 20-0. And like, I remember some of my favorite games, some of my funniest moments, or the best anecdotes are games where I look back now and think I now wouldn't play the game that way.
Mhm.
There's a lot more conversation. There's a lot more playing by intention. There's a lot more, "Oh, can I just remind you that if you do this, I'll react in this way, and that's not going to work out well for you." Like, that's really, like, we're still playing hard now. We're still playing to the fullest extent of the rules. But I do feel like we're playing more of a 2-player game now. Back then, like, some kid put out an army, he didn't know what he was doing. You would just run over them, take the 20-0, and then use the time to get a bacon sandwich or whatever, like, with no second thought. And it wasn't unpleasant. You weren't rude. You were just like, "Well, this is what the rule says. See you later."
It's where the Northern Warlords gagged, tagged, and body bagged cards came from.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
the whole thing was,
Yeah.
you basically wanted to smash your opponent as fast as possible, give them the card to say that they'd been done by a warlord, and then get it in the bar.
Yeah.
And, looking back, it's good that we have matured as gamers and people, because I think that is a very immature gaming style.
But I would say that, without being too negative about it, it was the norm. And so most people weren't rude, or they weren't wacky, win at all costs, but they were just like, "Hey, this is what's printed in the rule book, and this is how it goes down, and that's how it is." And you were expected to, a bit more like chess, like touch move, where you touch that piece and now you're going to move it. That's just the way that game is. It's not rude, it's not obnoxious, it's just the way the game is, and that's the way the game was back then. And I think now it's whoa, and that's a wall of photos. Yeah, now I think we're in a better place. It's a lot more 2-player games. There's a lot more interactivity. Wow, there are some absolute specimens there.
Yeah, I mean, there is a club represented here that we haven't talked about yet, isn't there? The Real Men of Gaming.
Yeah, the real man again. Look at those domes that we've called shoulders.
Yeah.
Wow.
Obviously, picture 1 is me in Italy at the ATC. Picture 2, Warhammer GWGT, a later one, where I'm standing with Mr. Chris Legg.
Legend. One of the nicest guys. You've got to get him on air if he's still in touch with people. What a guy.
Bottom right is the first time I podiumed at a GWGT, third place with Empire.
I like how you went for the cold face, like act like you've been there before.
Oh yeah, assassin face.
Yeah.
And then the fourth one is outside of Maelstrom Games.
That is unbelievable, that photo. Look at that hunk of meat in the middle.
Yeah.
Wow.
And my beer belly's developing there, but
Unbelievable.
I'll explain a bit more to people. We decided this was actually post Warhammer. This is when we were playing War Machine.
War Machine, yeah.
The NWA had fractured and split up, and people had gone on to play different games. So we set up another tongue-in-cheek club called the Real Men of Gaming, based off the Budweiser adverts. I don't know if anyone's ever seen them, but the whole shtick was we had to wear vests, shorts.
Yeah. Oh, times have changed, eh?
Yeah. Couldn't get away with that now for sure.
No, Mansfield. What was it? Was it Maelstrom Games? Was it?
Yeah, Maelstrom Games.
The strange pub on the outskirts of Mansfield.
It's not the pub; it's the Chinese place.
No, it was a pub that was like half of it was just a Chinese restaurant as well. Like,
yeah.
What was that called?
It was called the.
I can't remember. I reckon if we went down to Mansfield for, well, let's say 50 hours on a weekend, I reckon about 7.5 hours of it were in that Chinese restaurant.
Oh, for sure. It was a great Chinese restaurant.
Yeah. Unbelievable. What a place.
It was like an all-you-can-eat, but wasn't an all-you-could-eat. You had to order, but you just could keep ordering.
And just keep bringing, you order a bowl of noodles, and then they just bring more noodles, and you're like,
now, what? I'm sure there'll be some Sheffield Mansfield Dragon Slayers watch this episode.
Yeah.
So just down to you guys in the chat.
Hit the comments. If it's still going, should we do like a giving ground road trip? Unbelievable.
China Fong, that was it. The China Fong.
Unbelievable. Oh, wow. Brilliant. That big round table we always used to sit in the
With the Lazy Susan.
Yeah. Just spinning. Oh, dear.
Those days when Maelstrom Games was open, I believe we were more playing War Machine rather than the Old World.
Yeah.
So
I remember that summer was 8th edition summer, and that's all we need to say. That was the beginning of the end, and we switched over to War Machine. And so, like, thinking about, like, you must have quite obviously we've talked about those armies, and I know you've got your degree in photography and stuff. You must have some shots that can bring back, like, some of these memories and whatnot. I know you've got a slide deck. Let's go for it.
I certainly can bring some photographs of the armies up. What I was going to do was just give a link to the photo bucket account, but when I went on there earlier, there's just gazillions of them.
Yeah.
And as you say, the reason why I don't have a lot of photographs of me in the various clubs is because I was always kind of the photographer. And being the photographer, you never end up in the images. So I was just scrolling through all the pictures I've got of tournaments, realising that I wasn't in any of them. So let's have a look here on the slide. So this will
be about 7th, 8th edition?
This will be 7th edition. This will be the yellow and blue army I did for 7th edition that I believe got sold to Rob Downey.
Heritage.
Yeah.
A few more of it. Yeah.
It was a nice army. I thought it was pretty well executed.
Yeah, I remember that base. Yeah, that base and style.
And then the custom war wagon that was kit bashed from all sorts of bits and bobs.
Knights of More banner.
Yeah. I was a big lover of free cannons. This was my 7th edition Undead.
But your 7th edition.
Oh no. Well, this will be probably Undead number 4 or 5.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
But purple again, I can't get away from purple with Undead.
Yeah. Class.
One of my Wood Elf characters. So this would be 6 going into 7th. This was the new Wood Elf models when they first came out.
I think this is the army that I borrowed off you for about a year. I definitely played this in an NWA league, a WPS GT, and a Warhammer GT. Yeah.
Yeah. I actually thought this was one of my better painted armies. I really liked it.
Mm-hmm. I got lots of compliments for it. It was excellent.
It even had, look at that, Eternal Guard.
I never played them.
Nah, I'll do that.
In the box. Oh, I forgot the Skaven, yeah.
Yeah, my one and only dipped Skaven army.
Yeah.
Quite like these. Took them to the Terra Nova Griffins Adelphi tournament and sucked royally with them.
Yeah, I think I played Blood Bowl that year. I seem to remember I was playing Blood Bowl that year. I was off in the side room anyway, doing something.
So me and you done a lot of lizardmen over the years.
Yeah, orange lizards.
Yeah.
Iconic.
So this was my second lizardman army. The first one was the
Who did
red
I,
one that were dipped.
yeah, who did I sell my lizardman army to?
Oh, I've got no idea. But
Was it?
this one was the one where I had like, I think was it 8 stegodons or something I'd done?
Yeah. I think it was someone in NWA though. It was like Will or Boney or someone.
This is the second dwarfs I did, the blue dwarfs.
Yeah, I remember these.
Yeah, that's Boney's dwarfs. I don't know how they've snuck in there, but I obviously painted a commission for Boney.
Remember when we the first time we stuck slate on bases and we were like,
Yeah.
this is fantastic.
Well, there you go. There's a Bloodthirst with some slate on.
Yeah, he needed it to stay up. Them
Yeah.
wings were metal, weren't they? Class.
Yeah, that was the Catan that I made into my
Angel
Demon Prince.
type
Oh,
thing.
the Skaven have slipped. They should have been further back.
Yeah.
My High Elves, which got one tournament and sold.
Yeah.
So this army I'm going to talk about in the
That's
next section.
Slanesh Demons.
That was the Slaanesh Demons.
Yeah.
That was my full Vampire Counts army.
Yeah.
That is my full Dark Elves.
Yeah. I love that. That one was a classic.
My full second Chaos army.
Yeah.
Now this isn't the one that was talked about in the Steve Thornton game in the last episode, and that is the last one I've got. That other army was very similar to this, but it had giants and other stuff in it.
Yeah. Have you got any new armies in this? I know there's a bit of a throwback, but I think fantastic work recently.
I can't seem to find where I put the photographs of my newer armies. Okay. So the answer is no. Yeah. I've bored everyone with 36 slides. So
yeah, that'll do.
Yeah, that'll do.
So you hinted there that you were going to talk about a Slaanesh Demon army a bit later.
Yeah.
It's either going to be the best of times or the worst of times. And I played Slaanesh Demons around Storm of Chaos at GT. Okay, so then we've been through the clubs, we've been through the teams. What other affiliations do you have in this game? People?
I think the only thing that I would ever class as an affiliation that I did was I was part of the WPS committee for a while where we deliberated on comp for, I believe it was 7th edition.
Yeah.
And one of the things that really put me off Warhammer, I was very anti-comp at the time.
That was around the time of Double Rare, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Like 6 Salamanders got banned, didn't it, around then?
Yes. So Conrad invited me onto the comp committee specifically because of my anti-comp stance.
Yeah.
And also because I was kind of representing the Empire players out there at the time. And I just remember it being a lot of arguments all the time about why people felt Empire were really good, yet there was no... I mean, back then we didn't have the stat sites that you've got now, so you couldn't look at win percentages and stuff like that. But there were some crazy people out there who seemed to think Empire were an easy win button because the Steam Tank existed. And there was various different comp systems out there. I don't know if you remember the Dirty Dozen that the WPS had for a bit. Mm-hmm. And then there was the one where you had, it was almost a handicap. You lost so many points, or you got more points for bringing a nicer list.
Yeah, totally subjective.
Yeah, and then there was the comp one where you got like 10 points and you had to spend them in your list on certain things, like a Steam Tank was 2 points, a level 4 wizard was 2 points and stuff like that. So you were limited to what you could take, but you did get some bonuses. If you took 20 swordsmen, you might have got a point back. Mm-hmm. So it was a weird system, but yeah, that's kind of the only affiliation I ever had in my time.
Yeah, okay. So you hinted at it before, and you said you wanted to talk about the Slaanesh army a bit later, and I've played the army and had a few roller coasters. I've had some unbelievable games, some bad games and whatnot. But let's talk about the next section with your best games. Bear in mind, this is really the period 1999 to 2025. There's got to be some, I don't know how long we're going to go here, but there's got to be some games in there that never forget,
So the first one, just because it almost happened twice.
Right.
I don't know the name of the first guy. It was a GT final. He was playing Undead, a Necromancer Undead list, and I basically put the army down. That army was painted up in about 2 or 3 weeks.
The Slaanesh one?
The Slaanesh one, yeah. I bought it off Aaron Scott, unpainted. He'd done most of the modelling on it.
20-inch charge, totally normal, wasn't it?
Yeah, basically that was the shtick.
Yeah.
It could charge 20 inches with just about every unit.
Yeah, no measure, like no rolling, no pre-measuring.
Yeah,
but you're like, is it in? And you're like, yeah, probably. It's 20 inches. Like,
yeah. If you come 4 inches forward, you're getting charged. Playing this undead guy, puts the army down. I says, do you know much about it? He's like, oh, is this one of them new demons from the Storm of Chaos? I was like, yeah. Oh, yeah, I'm thingy with these. He places a spirit host in front of his zombie block with his 3 necromancers in. You know what's coming.
yeah.
Yeah, marches the undead forward the 4 inches that they can move. And I'm like, you really doing that? It's like, yeah. Ethereal, you can't get through them. And I'm like, well, this is just going back to the big gotchas, isn't it?
Yeah.
So he passes turns, and I just say, right, yeah, I'm going to charge just about everything I can into the spirit host.
Yeah.
And he just starts laughing. He says, I've just told you before, they're ethereal. I'm like, yeah, no bother. Push. 2 chariots, unit of Seekers of Slanesh.
Yeah.
No, Fiends were the bigger ones.
Yeah, pleasure seekers were like the horse ones, the cab, and then the fiends were the square base.
Yeah, but they had more attacks. So it was the Fiends, 2 chariots, and I think my demon prince all go into this 4 or 5 wide spirit host. Absolutely keying it. Because I went, you do realise that all demons have magical attacks? And he was like, do they? I was like, yeah, you've just told us before you've read the book. So spirit host melts, overrun, next turn, I just eat all of these necromancers for fun. And that's it. It's a classic 15-minute game in the bar, 20 points. Well, I think it was 5 points back then, was it? I want to say 5 points, but 5 points in the bag, stunning victory in the bar, laughing my tits off with everyone who'd also got fast games.
And then you said it happened twice.
So yeah, poor Marauder Mitch. It wasn't the same tournament, but we played at the WPS GT.
Yeah.
Marauder Mitch kind of knew what was coming. I'm pretty sure he knew about the magic attacks, but still walked forward that 4 or 5 inches with his army and just got absolutely tanked. And he smiled nicely while he put his models back in the box.
Yeah, it's amazing that like that's the first game I mentioned that, and I got the same game, and I think it was at that same WPS GT, and we were poorly that morning. I remember mine vividly. It was round 4, and like I was ill. I was throwing up in the car park. And I was like, no, just forfeit my game. I cannot possibly play. And you dragged me in there, and we just like play this guy and see what happens. Both 3-0, and he's got undead in this massive necromancer bunker, and like I say, secret lists back then. And I was using your infantry war Bretonians with peg knights, and I this huge gravestone graveyard, difficult terrain that's about a foot square that you never getting through. And he marches on turn 1 because he goes first and marches his like zombie bunker with all 4 necromancers up to the edge of this difficult terrain, and he's like, you are never getting through this difficult terrain. Like, it's 12 inches long, you're just not getting through it. And I was like, I couldn't even see, I was that drunk and that hungover, and he was right in front of the peg knights. So I was obviously taking the blessing. Charged the peg knights in the front, and he's like, you won't make it, it's difficult terrain. I was like, they've got wings. Like, they fly over gravestones, landed in the front rank, and I go on then, are you going to challenge? And he's like, why would I challenge? I was like, well, you're going to have the cloak of Mr. Shadows, aren't you? And like, you know, and he's like, what's that do? I'm like, right, okay. So these peg knights just bomb-1-8 all these necromancers, and I don't move another unit, and he just takes 5 crumble tests and gets 20 mil. It was brutal. I think I top 5 that GT that year, and it was basically I was about to quit because I was throwing up, and then someone just gifted me the zombie bunker class.
And as I say, I understand why a lot of people don't like gotchas, and why that is kind of not really a part of the game anymore.
Yeah.
And I do think it's for the better. You know, we'll sit back and laugh. But as Eddie said last week, that was somebody's game. Somebody paid like 20, 25 quid for that ticket.
Sorry, if you are watching, I forget who it was, but we were both 3-0 in a GT as well. And like, it was a 5-round GT, and put me, I think I drew the last round against dwarfs, and you know, and that was it. I was top 5 in that GT or whatever. And someone else was 3-0 and then was just out of it, and we'll have gone to his mates' tables and been like, lads, do you know that Pegasus fly? yeah, they got wings.
That's the crazy thing though. Some people manage to get into big tournaments,
Do well,
like
really well.
do well in a couple of games and not know some fundamentals.
Yeah, well, if maybe never played Brett Knight's, we never really played with difficult terrain that didn't block line of sight and stuff. Like we always had like woods, didn't we, and stuff. And
On the Games Workshop scenery, like some of them preset tables that you went to the GTs on.
there's a cornfield in the middle, and it's like it's an upturned or like old doormat that's been sprayed yellow.
Yeah, I mean, I still remember when the WPS GT had to ban fields as a type of terrain because everyone who was Bretonian,
Do you take fields?
Yeah, I'm going to take a hill and 2 fields.
My cannons have line of sight.
Yeah,
Bless.
yeah. There was some strange old ways of playing back then.
So, are there any ones though that you remember for the tussle, for the fight, like that back and forth where? Yeah, maybe it's a mate or whatever, but you're playing against someone where it just is swinging and it's haymakers and how is this going to end up? And then there's a result that you'll just remember.
I almost have to disappoint the public here because the ones that always stick in my mind are the ones where I just absolutely farmed somebody. Yeah, when we made the old 118 t-shirts, got your number straight through. Like a lot of the armies I used to play with, the Bretonians,
Slaanesh.
the Slaanesh, yeah, they were all just very direct, fast armies. But yes, there is a one game, and spoke about before, Asger Sans Gurnand. I've got no idea how you actually pronounce his name.
Asger, no more, does he?
He's quite the famous board game designer over in Denmark these days. We were playing, and lo and behold, he was also playing with my Bretonians. And I had the blue and yellow Empire that you seen earlier. He had my black and white Bretonians that a lot of people used.
Mm-hmm.
And it's Game 5, GT. Both of us are 4-0. And I get to face my own bloody army in the hands of probably one of the best players that were around at the time. And I so had him until I got a bad round of cannon shooting. I was absolutely, I would say, playing him off the table a bit. And it was a weird army because it was a big block of knights, it was a steam tank, it was a lot of cannons.
And you, like the Errantry War, we always had like loads of little MSU errants, but we had like either a Grail bus or a stim bus, depending on what the edition was. But there was always like one massive bus, wasn't there?
I actually think Asger was playing just the normal army. I don't think he was playing the Errantry, the Storm of Chaos list. I think he just went with a standard like Realm Knight list.
Okay.
It did have the Pegasus Knights in, it did have a Grail Knight bus in, but I'd managed to kind of slow the Grail Knights down with the tank and the big block of knights. And I'd been using the Outriders and Pistoliers to kind of fin off the other units and the cannons. And I think it was just a bad round of attacks or a bad round of combat with a steam tank. Just fluffed everything, and he got through and turned the table. After that, just got into my back lines, and it was basically like cannon dead, Outriders dead, cannon dead, cannon dead. And from a great place in the game, it just turned into an absolute, almost a rout. Giving him the win. I think he beat me, I want to say a major victory, not a, I think it was draw, minor, major, and I can't remember what the
it was like 13-7, 17-3 or 20-0, wasn't it, basically? Something like that,
I mean, this was GW, so I think it was always done on the 1-5 system.
Right.
But he didn't get maximum points from the game. I definitely thought I was on for a draw or minor win until the steam tank guffed. And I wouldn't care. I'd only just beaten in the turn before the Italian guy with a Skaven army. I don't know if you can remember. Can't remember what his name was, but
I can remember
him and his mate had won the previous heat.
Yeah, well, the chap that played Joe Sturge in the final.
Yes.
Yes.
So Asger won, I believe. I actually can't remember the rest of the podium.
Take the overall then.
Yeah, Asger took the overall because the year before is when I'd done it with the Empire, and that was when Joe Sturge was second. Kent, Asger's friend, was first, and I was third. Yeah. And then this year it was Asger, Joe, can't remember, and I think I was fifth.
Yeah, cracking game. So it was like so intense as well, so intense. And I always feel like when you go to a tournament, and especially when, like, if you go 2 and 3 or 3 and 2 or whatever, it's not been your day. You've not got it right. You still have fun, amazing. When you go 4 and 1, there's one 4 and 1 that feels better, and it's when the one's to the guy that wins.
Yeah.
Like, who knows? Then maybe you were the second best player in the hall and you just got worst draw in the last round. Maybe. Who knows? But it happens.
I had a modest trophy cabinet. I had 2 wins from the Northeast Gauntlet. I had a couple of positions in other tournaments. I would call myself more of a podium player than a winner. I certainly had more podiums overall than I did have wins. I think I maybe got 4 wins in big events over the years, but I podiumed a lot more. And I remember almost an entire year where I didn't finish outside the top 10 of any event I played in.
Yeah, for sure.
So, no, I'm not a Keith Wilkinson. I'm not somebody who can podium in just about any event going. But I was pretty solid. I won more than I lost.
Yeah.
And I done it with various armies. So
I think it's one of those things where like there are different sort of layers to the game, aren't there? There are people that are expecting to be in the one loss bracket, and on a good day they've got a chance of winning, and on a bad day they've got a chance of being in the middle.
Yeah.
I think you were always in that group, weren't you, where you always had a chance of winning any event you went to. You just weren't going to win 5 in a row or 3 in a row like the likes of Keith does.
Oh yeah, I think most events I either got the 4 wins or 3 in a draw or something like that. But yeah, that's kind of.
And that's where I feel I am at the minute. I haven't played a couple of one-day events this year, and the last 3 I've been 2-1, but I've lost to the person that's won it.
Yeah.
And the 2 wins have felt relatively comfortable and felt like I should win, and the losses have felt like, I don't really deserve to win, and my opponent's a better player than me. And it's how do you find that energy to kick on to the next level is one of the things that always drives us on, because we whoever we are, we always want to do a little bit better, don't we? Might not have aspirations of being a perennial winner, but you want to be in those games where, like, I always, every time I go to a tournament, my main goal is to play the person that wins, just to find out who the best is that day.
Yeah.
You know, and if you get to play them and you get a great game and you get to learn from them, then fantastic.
I mean, I can write the cookie cutter list still. I've got a new recruit full of army lists. You know, I wrote the Mega Balloon list the first day I got the cafe book. So I can still write the lists. I just don't really want to play them. I don't want to put them on the table. I've changed a little bit in my heart about what I want to put out there. But even if I look back in the day, I still think some of the armies, they were absolutely crutch. But the Empire armies I put out there, I thought they were pretty fair armies.
I think as well, though, some of your more extreme armies, you were on like the front edge of figuring them out anyway. So like you'd make a weird list, do pretty well with it, people would feel uncomfortable, and then 2 weeks later someone else would win a GT with it, and then everyone would go, oh, that's the GT winning list, and you'd be like, well, I was playing that 2 weeks ago and I've already painted a new army and moved on. But you know, that sort of, the ideas have always been flowing, but it's like you say, if you stuck to one of those, then maybe there'd be a couple more trophies. But we talk about those events, loads of big games there. Do you have a favorite army that like sticks with you that is just, you know, unforgettable?
Oh, favorite army? It's a very hard one.
And I guess I could ask this for you because you've got so many in 2 different ways. Like favorite faction, just big picture, but then actually specifically your favorite army that you painted and played.
So the armies I'm going to answer this a slightly different way to how you've asked it.
Okay.
The armies I've had the most of would be Vampire Counts, Wood Elves, Empire, and Chaos.
Yeah.
I've probably had one each of every other army.
Yeah.
But I have most certainly had, and I have 4 undead armies, 5 now with the one I've just done, 4 Wood Elf armies. That is on the not used table because I made a Forest Spirits for the old world, and that's not happening. I have done 1, 2, 3, probably 4 Empire armies with the one I've got now.
Yeah.
So I think it's 5 Wood Elves, 5 Undead, 4 Empire, and 5 Chaos. Now, the 5 Chaos probably swells larger if I add in the demon armies I've done over the years as well.
Yeah, and they've been sprawling on. I mean, like for me, thinking back on that, those numbers are crazy. But for me, I iconically, or canonically in my head, I've always thought of you as an Empire man. And that was the love. And I know, like, for instance, at least 2, maybe 3 of the Wood Elves were pretty much Forest Spirits. And you love a Forest Spirit, bang.
I do, yeah.
My army in 7.5 minutes. Let's go. And like the Undead, I think they've been like the most like periodical one. That like seems to go like you can only go 5 armies before you need to do another Vampire Counts army, and then you do 5 more armies, and
Yeah,
you're like, oh, I've got that itch again. But I always had you in my head as like an Empire main. If I was going to guess that
yeah.
question,
If I go through them, undead, I always end up finding them boring.
yeah,
I play them. I think they've got a very static play style,
yeah,
and they end up just being a little bit too boring for us. And whilst I can do well with them, and if I had to go and qualify for something, or I would go undead because they're just
yeah,
so reliable.
hmm
After that, I love Chaos. Chaos are absolutely just batshit crazy. They're just, there's so much silliness you can do with them that I do love a good Chaos army. Wood Elves, I've always loved that kind of break in the game. So every other army's rank and flank and stuff like that, and it plays in a certain way, whereas Wood Elves always didn't. Wood Elves always give your opponent a headache, a bit of a pain in the arse. Yes, I like the Forest Spirits. My first army was, I don't know if you remember it, the snow themed army,
hmm
and that was the first one I won the gauntlet with. That was my first ever tournament win army. That was a reclaimed army, basically. Somebody had put it in a bring and buy sale. A load of old, it was practically all metal, but it was in horrific form. So I brought it home, give it a good break cleaner job, and resurrected it as them were the days when
the
I don't know,
toothbrush out.
toothbrush and brake cleaner, yeah.
Like these days, you just spray it with IPA and it's gone or whatever, and it's just class. But they used to be scrubbing enamels off with toothbrushes and stuff.
Yeah, but
Crazy.
it was painted up dead fast. It was just basically dry brush white, bit of color and stuff like that. But yeah, that it done me quite well. That Wood Elf army. It did get a couple of podiums and a win.
Yeah.
The second one was a strange Wood Elf army because I wanted to do a Robin Hood themed army, and I got all of the GW like Bertrand the Brigand and the other ones like that. And then I converted up an entire Wood Elf army that was actually humans.
Yeah.
So it was Robin Hood's army. The Glade Riders were like Saracens.
hmm
There was like William Tell was in there.
It was
Uh,
real. It was like real Prince of Thieves vibes,
yeah,
wasn't
it
it?
was
It was
proper Prince of Thieves vibes.
we were not talking like 1950s Disney Robin Hood here. We're talking Prince of Thieves all over.
Yeah, Men in Tights as well.
A little bit of that, yeah.
But yeah, it was a human Wood Elf army, but it was all fully converted. It was quite a good paint job again.
Yeah.
It was one of the ones that I actually took a lot of time over. Then the third one was the one that you've seen in the images before, and
I remember the most.
yeah, and then I done a one after that for 8th edition, and I strangely don't have any photographs of it, but I don't actually think I played it in the tournament because 8th edition was my out.
Yeah, I mean, did we last 3.5 weeks in 8th edition or
It
something?
wasn't long. It wasn't long at all. I think I had,
I don't think we made it to the first codex.
yeah, I definitely, after about 3 or 4 club nights of just seeing stupidness, people putting 30 horrors in a house and Purple Sun and all, like, it was just like, what is this game? I'm Wood Elves. I'm getting destroyed by the woods that are supposed to be protecting us. I've got to roll dice to charge people. It was like, this wasn't Warhammer.
Although quite funnily, like now we're rolling dice to charge people. We kind of like it. And
Yeah, it's a bit different.
kind of like it in 40k. Kind of like it in fantasy now. It's kind of cool. It's kind of cool. It gives you
But
that sort of bit more variance, doesn't
yeah, but I don't think you're right. Overall, the army that was my first real army, the army that I've always kind of came back to, is the Empire. I just love representing the small man out there,
Yeah.
that average stat line guy
Yeah.
who's fighting against.
That guy that used to be a baker who's just lit the blue touch paper and just absolutely shot the head off a Chaos Lord from the other side of the
Yeah.
yeah.
It's because the army does a bit of everything. It's always interesting. It's not boring like Undead. It doesn't require maximum effort placement of Wood Elves.
Yeah.
It
It's also
doesn't have
like
the raw aggression of Chaos.
it's also like can come in different styles as well because you've done Nuln gun lines, you've done White Wolf super bricks, you've
Yeah.
done war wagons, you've done steam tanks, I don't know if you ever built it in the end, but you've definitely talked about the Outrider Pistolier thing that's become hot recently. Like it's got quite a lot of variety. It's got like the state troop bricks, the MSU, the huge bricks. It's had
It's
it's had its all throughout the time.
it's fighting in every phase, and that's basically what you want in a game. You want to be taking part in every phase, because if one of them goes wrong for you, you've still got 3 more to kind of rely on.
And I think as well, like detachments and the detachment rule throughout the history of Warhammer has been underutilized and is slightly more powerful than people realize. And a lot of it is just used for like the stand and shoot
Yeah.
reaction. The ability to have a very, very small, very cheap unit that you can march block with and stick in the way and angle and stuff. I think that if someone spent a lot of time playing Empire, then it would have an answer for everything.
I mean, back in the day when you had your closed gotcha lists, I used to love Van Horseman Speculum. It's why I had that little joke earlier on. It's like, right, the greater demon of Khorne comes in to fight you.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you can have my stats. You can have 3 attacks and weapon skill 5. And I'm going to have your weapon skill
It's
10, strength
very,
7. And
it's very Terry Pratchett, isn't it? Like,
oh, it was.
like, yeah, I love it. It's
But it
great.
was the best part was like the guy's like, right, Captain, am I going to charge here? Oh, I know which one's got it.
Poker face.
Yeah.
And so we're on best of times, we're on favourite armies, and we've got to change a little bit. What about the worst of times? What have we been through with this journey we've been on?
Oh, I
Apart
think
from,
we.
apart from 8th edition.
Yeah, I mean, think for me, the worst of times was just changing to 8th edition. It just seemed such a different game from all of the previous games we'd ever played.
Yeah, we love 7th. Like, we just loved it. I mean, we had the peak of the club. We had the games every week. We had the tournaments every month, and we had to find something new. And we tried War Machine, and like me playing a bit of Magic and whatnot. War Machine, like the combos came kind of naturally, but eventually it's like every game's the same. Like, you put your guy within 22 inches of mine, and I know a combo, and it's game over unless I have terrible dice, and that means I win or lose every game based off the dice. Like, what's the point?
Yeah.
And I know there's more depth to it. I'm sure there are wonderful players that could teach me the nuances, but we were looking for something and we didn't have that much time to find it. And for me, it's not just the game, it was the splintering of our thing, like what we had.
I think if I'm blatantly honest with myself, though, the worst of times was a little wake up call where I kind of had to admit to myself that I'd become addicted to the game, going to tournaments,
Mm.
spending time with my friends, and the impact that it kind of concurrently had on family life. I just had these glasses on that only seen Warhammer and wargaming without going too far into it. That is the worst of times for me. That is the one thing that I kind of wish I never got to.
Yeah, but it's amazing that like we've got these things, these podcasts, the platforms. We can talk to people, we can share the stories, and actually realize like what is a journey that it's been on, like what a life it's been. And we are talking about a lifetime of friendships and togetherness, and to sit here and admit that it got so bad that it started to affect your personal life, and yeah, it's huge.
Yeah.
You know,
And
the good news is that you were tireless. Like someone who always brought energy to the scene. So once you did make that realize and you locked in and you changed your mindset, it didn't take too long. I mean, it took a lot of work, but not too long to bring it back to something more in balance, didn't it?
I think I was out of wargaming probably the best part of 12 years, maybe more. In that period of time, I did start playing a bit more card games, board games, things that weren't really tournament focused, things that were more just not beer and pretzels games, but just things that didn't matter. That competitive edge wasn't always there.
Yeah, you didn't have to go all in.
Yeah, you didn't have to go all in. Got back, done a little bit of role playing,
Yeah,
played Magic, and again met a new bunch of friends through it.
yeah,
So
yeah. And the nice thing is, it's cheesy or trite to say or whatever, but part of this is about the journey, isn't it? And about what we go through. And
yeah,
I think, like the last few years, the old world, and to speak, on a personal level, the old world was something that got the conversation started. But the stuff that's going on in the personal background and stuff, and health and things like that, was one of the big draws for me to come back, because the time that we spent together, we cherished together, like it matters, and we lost touch in that, because we lost touch with the core game that was our sort of north star.
yeah,
We lost that guiding light, and then actually we found an opportunity, but old world was just an excuse. It was a
yeah. It was.
excuse, but it was an excuse that got us back, and it got us back to it got people talking and brought the community back. And I hadn't seen Keith in 15 years, and I walked into a church in Durham where there was an event, or a church hall or whatever, and he's like, "Oh, Rooney, how's it going?" And it's class. It's absolutely class that we've been on this journey. We've got this shared experience, lived it, and I mean we, the wider community. And yeah, here we are.
As I say, there's good glue there. There's definitely, I know there's a lot of people out there, ex Warlords, ex NWA players, even players who weren't part of the clubs and stuff like that. That quick phone call or a Facebook message, you might have we're gonna have a good bit of banter.
It certainly has grown to something deeper than the game, hasn't it? So, last section then. Well, no, I've got a couple, maybe a couple. What's on the painting table? Do surprise us.
Well,
What's on the painting table for the next 7.5 hours before the third army that's on the painting table starts?
it's vampire counts again on the table. I have got some more hex wraiths to paint up. They'll be dead fast. I have a unit of skeletons I'm going to paint up. Don't ask us why, because skeletons just don't even seem to figure at the moment.
Yeah.
And I've got a 3D printed unit of grave guard with hand weapons and shields, so that I've got both options. I've got the grave weapons and I've got the hand weapon and shield. I have actually just painted up another unit of, I don't even know what they are. The were to be Graveguard because I didn't like the way the Games Workshop ones ranked up.
Mm-hmm.
I got the new Barrow Whites from Age of Sigmar. I got them, and they were a pain in the ass to rank up. So I thought, right, I'm going to get these ones 3D printed, and they rank up perfectly. But I just don't like the look of them. They just don't look like Graveguard to me.
Yeah.
And then I thought, I'll use them as skeletons. And I was like, well, I'm never going to probably use skeletons, am I? Plus, they've got a great weapon. I'd have to stick a shield on and pretend this great weapon, it would work as a spear. Okay. The army's shaped up. It's looking all right. It's definitely...
You've played it, haven't you? So
I've played it. I've got a second place in the tournament with it.
That's good.
So I've still got a wee bit of undead to get through. And then after that, I'm going to revisit. So for my birthday last month, I got some money and I found 2 deals on eBay where I got a starter box of Tomb Kings and I got an Empire box. I've already got a lot of Empire, and the box was just to basically add on to it so I can replace a couple of 3D printed models that I've got, like for the tank and some other bits and bobs.
Yeah.
And swell some infantry, because when I first made the Empire, I didn't do really any infantry because they weren't good. 1.5's changed that. So yeah, I'm going to expand the Empire, build it bigger, and I'm also going to trash off the Cafe army that I've got and build another Cafe army that is in the same paint scheme as the Empire.
Yeah.
That will be my kind of Jade Fleet list, and I'll just be able to kind of use the two of them in interchangeable, in unison, whatever you want to call it.
Sounds great.
But then I've also got a Tomb King box set that is going to have to get painted up at some point. So I think I've got my painting table full till after Christmas for sure. And I'm in no rush at the moment because I've got, I think, 6 armies now done. I could take a different army out probably for every Sunday for 2 months, and then not play the same army twice.
And so what's the next event on the calendar?
Doubles at Durham.
Okay.
And then the...
Play with Jack.
Yes, play with Jack. It'll be fun.
Nice.
So
in the other episodes, I haven't told about Jack that much because he's obviously your son, but a lot of the other people were part of the travel team and the travel circuit. And obviously, like recently, Jack's been playing a lot, but like I remember Jack being 6 or 7, 8, 9 in the gaming shop, playing Magic in the back or collecting some cards or something. And it's class to see him as like a grown man, adult, 30 years old, playing events. And my son's 4 now, so like the idea of playing a Warhammer doubles event at some point in the future does sound pretty appealing.
I'm interested, said he was like his son not being interested in Warhammer. Adi was the same. I'm quite lucky that Jack did want to get into it. He started off for 40k. I built him a Tower army for his 8th or 9th birthday Christmas present.
Yeah. Can you imagine getting tabled by a Tower army with an 8-year-old? The hell would be the absolute worst.
Yeah, it's great having a son who plays the hobby with you, and I play him most weekends.
It's been class to see that develop over the years as well, from the sort of little kid being dragged along to turning up on his own to going away to uni and whatnot and having a bit of a gap and then being back in. It's class.
Yeah.
To see.
He, like me, he was a massive role player through his uni years and stuff like that. And I talk about this with Adi, like being a nerd or a geek these days is all it's right in.
Yeah.
The emos kind of made it a thing. So I'm a 52-year-old guy. When I went to school back years ago, there was a lot of things that just weren't cool. And
so the bit we've been waiting for. In the past 4 or 5 episodes of this show, there has been some unbelievable. You couldn't write it as a comedy sketch show. Some of the things that have been told in here. This is the bit I'm the most nervous about because this could go any one of 100 different ways. So let's talk about some tournament anecdotes. What's the things that's not the models, not the games, that stood out over the last 20 years of being at events?
Well, I'm going to, with an eye on the clock, I'm going to limit it, I think.
Good.
And as you know, and as lots of the other warlords and NWA members know, I could say some stuff that would probably get the police on the doorstep in no time at all. We've not always been good guys when we go out. But there was a certain night when the NWA went to Nottingham for a WPSGT. Might have been a club challenge, but I think it was just a WPSGT. And we hit the town.
The problem is, I'm just thinking, which one?
I know.
Which one?
No names will be mentioned here, but we went to Rock City.
So I think this was. I've got a feeling this was at a Warhammer World event, wasn't it? It was at headquarters.
I remember the hotel we're staying in.
Yeah, I think we were at Warhammer because I think the person that's in the story was the incident with the army case, and that was in the playing hall.
Right. Oh, yes, I think you're right.
That was the beginning of the but we'll not talk about that either. So
yeah, I mean, yeah, we will. with no names mentioned.
No names mentioned.
Yeah, a certain person was under pressure to get out on the drink and had brought along a 300 model Skaven army.
And was drunk and was been in Bugman's bar because he was losing with a 300 Skaven.
Yeah, the gentleman had been imbibing that day and was pretty much well gone. So we were all, right, we've got to get back to the hotel, get dressed, get out in the town. Why have you still got your army in your bag, in your hand? He's like, what army? And just proceeded to turn around and throw his bag across the hall at Warhammer World, which contained a 300 model Skaven army.
And it was one of those fabric KR multi cases with a Velcro, the double width, triple depth, and it just opened.
Yeah, it opened, and
it crammed it at the best of times, and it just mid-air opened and went everywhere.
This army must have ended up over 30 gaming tables.
Yeah,
we'll come back to it. So we get out on the town, headed straight for Rock City. There must have been about 12 of us out. Again, I could go through the names, but we went in the place within...
Did we go straight in, or did someone else have to go home?
Oh, yeah, sorry. I think I've already actually alluded to this. I had a lovely set of snakeskin shoes on.
White snakeskin shoes.
Yeah, white snakeskin shoes, because I was a dapper guy back then.
You like to cut and strut, as you used to say.
Yeah. So I get to the door, and the guy goes, oh, you're not coming in with them shoes on. I was like, hold on a second, these aren't cheap. He says, that's exactly the point. They're going to get ruined in there. So I had to basically jet back to the hotel, get some trainers on, come back. And I'd missed this, so I only know through stories. But one of the guys had managed to score with an older woman after about 30 seconds of entry.
30 at best.
Another gentleman who'd hired a Skaven army across the gaming hall lost his glasses in a mosh pit.
Yeah. He just came out of the crowd, pulling people apart in tears. Because, this guy, without his glasses, couldn't see. He was very short-sighted and lost the glasses and was just like, I am in some, American death metal band, live band, mosh pit, and now I can't see anymore. And I don't have any contacts with me. And I literally can't see. In the middle of Rock City, drunk.
But yeah, it was a mental night out, and I think we'd been in there no more than an hour and a half, and I just couldn't take any more. I'm not a rock fan, to be honest. So myself, Tristan, and Shabba, we decided that we were going to get out of there and head to some more normal bars. I can't remember if anybody else came with us, but
I think I did, because did we not end up in that bar that had the celebrity death watch list on the wall or whatever?
Yeah.
It's just one wild night in Nottingham.
Yeah, it was that celebrity death list, wasn't it, on the wall?
And betting on which celebrity is going to croak next.
Yeah, and then we went along to, I think it was the Reflex Bar with a circular dance floor. It was all about, when we got back to the hotel, who was missing, who didn't turn up, who missed day 2. And eventually, when the Skaven player arrived, totally unaware of what he'd done the day before, and it was like, who's done this to my army? It's everywhere. We had to spend about 40 minutes as a team going and finding all of these Skaven models from all over the hall, all over the table.
I can't believe someone would do this. I can't believe someone would do this.
Who would possibly do this to my army? Well, we all knew, but it was absolutely crazy.
It's mad.
I'm pretty sure some of them ended up, some of the bigger models visited the best painted tables.
I think there wasn't one of the best painted table like armies laid out. I'm sure it was like a beautiful yellow and blue Eldar army, and I think it had LEDs in the like grav tanks or whatever. And I'm sure like a Skaven Doom wheel just like went through one of the models, like that old metal. Oh, awful. Awful. Felt so bad.
I think it was actually one of the years they held the club challenge at Lenton, because I believe we threw it because the team just wasn't in any fit shape the second day to carry it over the line.
No, nowhere near.
One of the other tournament anecdotes I'm going to kind of mention here, it's an embarrassing one. I set up a tournament at where we played our club games. I'm not going to name the venue, but I done my best to get. This was before the Teesside tear-up was a thing. This was the NWA's first attempt to get big national players up into the northeast to play in a tournament. And I've done a cracking job of it. I got some great players to come up to the northeast and play in a tournament. The guy who eventually won the tournament got a prize he didn't expect to get. Because the people who ran the establishment had some dogs, and during one of the games, one of the dogs took a shit in his bag.
How do you even do that? How do you take a shit in someone's army case?
I don't actually think it was the army case. I think it was like, how people put army case in the bag.
Well,
Apparently it had his travelling home clothes in there and stuff.
Northeast.
And the best part is, this story doesn't even include Boney.
No, I know, and it's not. When you said you're going to tell stories, I like literally started sweating.
Oh yeah, you thought we're going to be talking about tramps in Preston and
I
Boney and Buffer Bins, and
I thought if there was going to be a story about human, feces, there was going to be a pizza. There was going to be. So yeah, as long as there's.
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned him earlier, but yeah, he
to have an after night episode of Giving Ground, which is
Giving Ground After Dark.
Yeah, because, geez.
Yeah, as I say, I've always just been worried that I mention people's names and bring them into disrepute, and that's not what the show's about. The show's about positives, some negatives, but again, why we all play the game, why we love the game, and why we keep coming back for more, really.
Absolutely. Well, it's been a journey, hasn't it, for you? You say 1984 before of gaming,
yes,
games with friends on and off and different times, but it's like I said, I was born in 1983, so it's a lifetime of gaming.
It is. And I don't know how many people over the years that, have been friends and disappeared off the scene.
I've actually got a good one for you. Fantastic. Not advertising here, there's plenty of other game stores, but Element Games has just opened a store up in Newcastle.
Oh, yes.
And I went on Saturday for the grand opening, took my son, and I didn't know that it was only opening at 10, so I was there a bit early, and I was stood outside with about half an hour to go to opening, and the really incredible painter Byron from Artist Opus was like opening it and being the sort of celebrity and doing painting lessons that day. And he walks out the shop, and I'm like, oh, what's that? And I think it is. And he's like, yeah, we shake hands, we start talking, and we start talking about the games. Some 40k models in the window. There's fantasy. He's saying, he really loves fantasy. He's really got into old world. And even though quite a lot of the stuff he does on videos is quite often tanks, because he's really, really good at dry brushing and stuff, he was talking about how much he loved the old world. And I was talking about one of the best mates in gaming. The guy I play the most games with is Sib. And he goes, Sib? I went, Andy Priscilla, Sib. And he goes, oh, is he that guy that's big in Japan? What? I was like, how does this YouTuber know Sib from is there any from the big in Japan era? And I was like, yeah, actually, it absolutely is. I mean, have you got any minor anecdote about big in Japan? Because I mean, that was just iconic.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose how the big in Japan came around is I had took a little break from Warhammer, just when you get a little bit of burnout. And I'd been playing I don't even know what I went away to play, but I'd been playing another game, and I'd not played a tournament in a couple of years, and we decided that it was time to go back. I'm quite a humble guy, and yes, I know that I've got people out there and friends out there and stuff like that, but I went to this tournament, and there must have been some big spin about me coming back into gaming. There must have been some kind of discussion monologue in the background that I didn't know anything about. So I turned up to the tournament, and everyone disappeared. years. And then I get grabbed by the elbow and took outside. And basically, there's a room full of people wearing T-shirts with my face on it to celebrate the fact that I'd came back to play Warhammer again. And the phrase was coined by somebody then and there that I'd been away to Japan to, like, this was the reason why I hadn't been playing tournaments. I'd been away in Japan to become big and famous over there, and I'd returned to the UK after becoming big in Japan.
Yeah. Well,
got
the story's out there, and I'm not sure how well you know Byron, or if you do know him or whatever. But it was the first time I'd ever met him, and so for something like that to come out, I think it just shows that energy and that sort of effervescence, like that what you bring to the scene.
Yeah.
That, like you say, you're not big-headed about it. You're pretty humble about it, but the fact that you're always there and you're always going and you're always trying, and to be honest, that you're always caring, like, about what happens and what outcomes happen for the scene, for the people.
Yeah.
Why that I think you've been an absolute legend. And it's been a pleasure to do this tonight, but for me personally, it's been a pleasure to just be your friend for 20 odd years,
It is massively humbling, and obviously, I never really set out to do any of this. I just set out to play the game, to have some fun. But over the years, the community got into my blood. Community become a big thing. I think in this day and age, I'm just all about how I can enable people, how I can make things better, and how I can just bring more to people's lives through the hobby and stuff like that. I think that's probably a good place to end things tonight then.
Yeah, absolutely. Until the Giving Ground After Dark show, and then
Yeah.
maybe
Well,
we'll be back a few times. I don't know.
Thank you very much for stepping in tonight and becoming me.
Cast, love it. Who's going to be on next week? We'll see.
Well, I think I know who's coming on next. I just need to obviously work out times and dates and stuff like that. But I've got 2 or 3 more people lined up. Yeah, thank you very much. And we will sign off there.
Cheers. Thank you, everybody.
No bother. And that's back to me. So, another episode complete. Another episode that I hope you enjoy. Thank you very much to Jonathan Rooney for taking over for the show. I hope he enjoyed it, and I hope he very much likes and subscribes. I hope you like and subscribe. I very much enjoyed having a deep dive into my own gaming history, my own gaming career, whatever you want to call it. It's something that's been at the forefront of my life, and it's something that has impacted me as a person. It's one of the big reasons I wanted to do this chat show, to bring on people and let you understand their journeys. For today, however, that is it. I will catch you in the next episode. Sib out.